What's going on, my fellow Kino Lords? So today I'm going to be reviewing One Battle After Another, which is written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. So you guys already know that Paul Thomas Anderson is widely considered to be one of the greatest contemporary filmmakers that we have. And I largely agree with that sentiment. Fucking love PTA. Pretty much everything he's done, I absolutely love. With of course, the exception of Inherent Vice. Was not a fan of that movie. I know that Inherent Vice has, it's got its loyal cult following fans. But for me, I mean, I gave it like three chances, and each time just could not get into that movie. But for the most part, again, every movie besides Inherent Vice, I've absolutely loved. There Will Be Blood is up there, and honestly, that might just be my favorite film of all time. Don't quote me on that just yet, but it's definitely way up there. I kind of interchange that and Clockwork Orange or Barry Lyndon. It's just really hard for me to decide. But yeah, either way, PTA has made some of the most important films ever made, in my opinion. Just an amazing filmography. Punch Drunk Love, Boogie Nights, even his like really early work like Hard Eight. Even that movie's really great. So yeah, really love me some PTA. So obviously I went into this movie with natural high expectations that I just couldn't shake. And I'm happy to report that this movie fucking kicks ass. This movie rocked my goddamn socks, and in so many ways that I found it to be just a really entertaining and riveting and timely experience. I think that's something that is also kind of like really hitting home with people, is just how thematically and politically timely it feels. But before we get into that, yeah, just like right from the get-go, this movie is not afraid to go places. Like, again, and look, this is going to be a movie that people are going to be talking about come Oscar season. Some are already saying that it's going to sweep the Oscars. Who knows? A little bit too early to tell. But my point is, more like as the year ends and as Oscar season comes around, more people are going to be seeing this movie, because of the buzz and everything. And I'm really curious to see how it's going to hit, because again, from the opening scene alone, like it just goes there and it gets weird, with this kind of like, it's kind of like sexual shtick that it's doing. Which I think works. It's just, it could be alarming to somebody who's maybe not prepared for something like that. But like that, like right out of the movie, like I love that about it. I was like, this is fucking weird. This is bizarre. I like that it's daring and it's like just completely unafraid to go where it's going. But I was wondering, like, where is this going? Like, why do this? It's something involving Sean Penn's character. And I was just like, what's the point? But I like where it went with it. It actually becomes something that's rooted in this film's thematic approach with its characters and its overall theme, that works quite well. But anyways, before I get too off track, yeah, like right from the start, it's very engaging. And it doesn't really ever stop being engaging. Like, this is a damn near 3-hour movie, 2 hours and 45 minutes. And it doesn't really... There's not really ever a moment that feels like it's dragging or feels boring or feels unnecessary. With perhaps maybe an exception with something that happens in the end, which I'll get into. But overall, like, this is a 3-hour movie and the runtime fucking flew the fuck by. I mean, this movie zoomed past because everything was just so interesting, so engaging, so beautifully directed, so enrichingly written. I really, really loved just like the writing of all these characters and just like the chaotic story that we embark on. All the characters in this movie just feel so fucking rich, even for characters that we only see for like a few minutes. Like, there feels like there's so much substance there, and that's a huge thing that I really, really loved about this movie, is that there's quite a bit of characters that this movie focuses on. And I just feel like all of them feel so rich and they feel so interesting. Leonardo DiCaprio's character in this movie is just, not only do I just love the writing, but his performance is so good. He just has this really unique yet effective form of comedic timing with his performances. And of course, it's not with all of his performances, but for the most part, that's kind of the vibe I get. And, you know, he just kind of shows that he does have a sense of humor with the way that he embodies characters, and that's definitely present here with One Battle After Another. Like, not only is he, like, very convincing in the way that, you know, in terms of his acting skills and the way that he's portraying the character, yeah, you really buy it, but even beyond that, he's just fucking hilarious. Like, throughout this entire movie, you just can't help but laugh at his character. And like, there's this one phone call scene that he has, you know, with him and one of the undercover people, and it's just so fucking funny. Couldn't get enough of it. Just really great stuff. But yeah, just like as I was saying, like, all the characters in this movie just feel so fucking interesting. Like, every time we are introduced to a new character, you just instantly want to know more about him, and you don't mind continuing on with the character that we're focusing on, because they're all just so really well written. But yeah, so obviously another thing about this movie that is so fucking good is just the craft. Like, Paul Thomas Anderson's direction throughout his entire movie is very, very fucking apparent. Not only with his really creative choices of music that I really love. It's like reminiscent to the way he uses score in Punch Drunk Love, and even even There Will Be Blood. That just the way, like, he has like this dark, like a very like ominous, like stringed instrument tone to it. But then like there's other times where the score just has completely like its own personality. It has a personality of its own, and it adds something so unique to the scene itself. And there's so many memorable sequences in this movie. And it's, again, the reason why they are so memorable is, yes, like, the writing, as I mentioned, is fantastic, but just the way that Paul Thomas Anderson presents these sequences. Like one thing I noticed about this movie is that if this concept was given to like any other director, they would have viewed a lot of these moments in the movie as plot points and then moved on quickly from them. But Paul Thomas Anderson is like, no, like, yes, this is a way for us to get from A to B, but this part from A to B is the experience. Like, it's like these transitional periods in the plot that are the experience. And he focuses so much on these moments and creates these really dragged out sequences that don't feel dragged out. Like, you don't feel ever bored by them. And I really love, like, this. There's this whole sequence with Benicio del Toro and Leonardo DiCaprio, and again, I'm not going to say anything spoilery, but like, they're basically like undercover together. Well, I don't want to say undercover, but they're basically trying to escape after being cornered by basically the establishment. And that entire sequence was just absolutely riveting from start to finish. But the whole movie's kind of like that. Like, there's like, we kind of witnessed what feels like 4 really long sequences with obviously like some little scenes in between, but they're like these really long sequences that don't let up. And that's another reason why this movie felt special. It's because, like, again, given the concept to any other director, they would have not have really capitalized on all the potential that these plot points served. But yeah, like, again, just the craft is absolutely wonderful. From the score, the use of camera, just like these one-shot sequences, really, really well portrayed. And as I mentioned, this is an incredibly timely film as well. You know, one obvious thing being its incorporation of immigration in the film, and really just immigrants in general, and their almost like their fight to, you know, stand up and escape a fascist regime. Like, that's exactly what's being portrayed in this movie. And Leonardo DiCaprio's character also, again, he's, you know, a very like anti-government, anti-establishment character who is, in a way, you know, teaming up with another marginalized group of people to escape the fascist government. And it's, again, I loved that it's a timely movie and felt portrayed in a very nuanced way. Really, really love that about this movie as well. And like, look, we gotta talk about Sean Penn real quick. Sean Penn's character in this movie is, he's so fucking goofy, but at the same time, like, serves as a sense of satire to, like, white premises fucking goobers who is deeply sexually attracted to black women. I mean, it's basically a fetishization of black women, really. But just like the way that he obsesses over his sexuality for black women, but at the same time, in his brain, like, just fucking hates black people. It's a very interesting way to write a character. And in one way, it's very comedic, Sean Penn's performance, but in another way, it's actually, like, really incredible. Like, just the way that he's able to portray this kind of character. He does something so fucking, like, odd with his mouth and his lips the whole movie, but it's so good. Like, it's those little performance nuances that really, like, elevate these already incredibly well-written characters. But yeah, I don't want to say too much because I know it's pretty early out there and maybe a lot of people haven't seen it yet. But like, if I had a criticism with this movie, it's a few things. One, this might sound petty, but I kind of wanted more. Like, it's crazy to say that about a 3-hour movie. But after it ended, I was like, damn. Like, I wanted to see what else would unravel out of this. And the movie kind of just stops, and I didn't find it to be the most satisfying conclusion. Especially with something that they do with Sean Penn's character. Like, it kind of teases you into thinking that there's going to be something more, and then, you know, they just basically end that note really quickly. But it's like, like, why the tease if you're not going to explore something more with it? I mean, thematically, I can kind of understand why, like, what they did with Sean Penn's character at the end. But overall, it felt like a huge narrative tease that really didn't get to be explored. But that's really, like, my ultimate criticism of the movie, is that I feel like it just needed perhaps a better ending. And I don't even know what a better ending would look like from this movie. But I remember walking out of the theater being like, fucking incredible movie. But the ending, I kind of felt like, you know? So, not sure. Maybe that'll change upon rewatch. But that's, like, my initial feelings. Still fucking awesome movie. Really, really loved it. Would totally be down to see it again. Yeah, definitely get hyped for this one. It's really incredible. I'll give One Battle After Another a soft 9 out of 10. For now, at least. Who knows? But I feel pretty comfortable with that rating. And yeah, that's basically all I'll say about it. I mean, there's really a lot to be said about this movie, so I apologize if this came off very fucking, like, surface level, bare bones. But I want to hear what you guys think about it. If you've seen it yet, comment down below. Let me know what you thought about it, man. Like, this is... So far, I've heard that everybody's pretty much loving it, which is fucking great. I'm just wondering what's going to happen when Oscar buzz starts getting to it and more people start getting access to this movie and watching it. I have a feeling that, you know, perhaps maybe your general audience might not be as in love with this movie as, you know, maybe like the more hardcore film fans. But we'll find out in due time. Anyways, that's all I got to say. If you really enjoyed what I had to say about One Battle After Another, please give this video a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.